Hey everybody, and welcome to Ask GameSpot, the show where you give us questions and we give you answers. I'm Sean McGinnis.
And I'm Maxwell McGee.
And today we're talking all about the Bureau XCOM Classy Guys.
Nope.
XCOM Decalcified.
No.
XCOM Declassified.
Oh, there we go. Sean, I feel like we're gonna abduct these questions and then probe them for answers.
Probing confirmed. Let's get the show started. Paolo Augustine on Twitter wants to know, is the Bureau in any way connected to the XCOM EU universe? Is it a prequel? Been getting some confusing news about it.
Well, the Bureau is a prequel to the larger XCOM franchise. It takes place here in the 1960s, so it's going to be playing off of the Cold War, it's going to be playing off of the space race, and you're going to be right there on the ground floor when XCOM is first founded. Gustavo Nunez on Twitter wants to know, is this a shooter or an XCOM turn-based game in third person?
Well, Gustavo, to answer your question, a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. It is a third-person shooter, but it's not exactly a Gears of War type of game. I guess a closer comparison would be the Mass Effect series. Because of that power wheel that you can pull open at any time, you essentially freeze time. It's still moving a little bit, but it's not completely stalled. And what you basically do is you just map out your strategy. You can choose what you want your squad mates to do, you can choose your own special powers, and you basically just pause things, take stock of your surroundings, and then decide what to do from there. But in typical XCOM fashion, there are benefits for how you approach the fight. If you're up high, you're going to get a shot bonus for shooting down below. You know, if you're behind cover, you're going to gain a little bit of benefit there. So it's, you know, it's a third-person shooter, but it's a little bit more tactical than what you would expect out of something in that genre.
On your target,
Next one comes to us from Malk Garrett, who wants to know, is this game next-gen? Well, Malk, at the end of the day, what is a next-gen game? Does it have literally tens of graphics, literally dozens of polygons?
Okay, let me stop you there. It's coming out on 360, PS3, PC. We're moving on.
It's current gen.
Regroup, fellas.
Jamie Middleton wants to know, are there any new aliens we haven't seen in previous XCOM games? Well, Jamie, the answer is yes, there are. They're called the Zeljari, something like that. But basically, they're your space foot soldiers. They're about the same height as a human, they've got a space machine gun, and
about this big.
Yeah, they're about this
big.
And they take cover and fire back at you, sort of like the alien analog to your teammate and your squad. There's also larger versions of them that have shields, and then they can shield other aliens as well. So you want to make sure when you see those guys on the field, you take them out first.
Todd Saseda asks, how much was taken from XCOM Enemy Unknown in terms of mechanics and molded for the Bureau?
Well, Todd, this game is going to play out very differently than Enemy Unknown. In the Bureau, you're no longer in sort of the Eye of God overview, but you're down on the ground in third person with your troops, but still in sort of that true XCOM fashion. The game rewards strategic thinking, careful planning. You can't just John Rambo your way up the middle and hope to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not XCOM Enemy Unknown. Nobody's going to mistake it for Enemy Unknown. It's a third-person shooter at the end of the day, but it does take inspiration from the XCOM series in a number of different ways. You know, placement of your troops versus the enemies on the battlefield and the sort of domino effect as one leads to the other. At one point when I was playing, you know, I snuck up on a group of aliens, dropped a little landmine on the ground, and had one of my troops sort of like jump up and taunt them so that they ran at me and ran over the landmine. So it's little things like that. And also various different mechanics are pulled from Enemy Unknown, like permadeath is in there. So if, you know, if one of your troop members dies, he's gone for good, and that sucks because you've been training him and working him up his skill tree the whole way. So you need to keep your eye on stuff like that. And finally, our last question comes to us from, who else? XX Naruto fan 1962, XX from Vine, who asks, hey guys, big fan of hats, love hats, been wearing them literally my entire life. So obviously, I had a question about the 1960s fedoras in the Bureau. So I asked my best friend Morgan Gray, who happens to be the creative director of the game, roll tape? You can't roll tape, this is our show.
Not only is Carter there when aliens invade in the Bureau XCOM Declassified, but his hat is part of what's protecting our planet. A lot of thought was given to his headwear, both for him and his agents, a lot of research, things like the Wikipedias, the Googles, the Madmen's, and I appreciate that there's a fellow hat fan out there that is curious not about the guns, the lasers, the tactical combat, leveling up, or anything having to do with XCOM that most people talk about, but the focus on hatware, I think it warms my heart knowing that someone else other than us at 2Gamer cares about the fedora. So hats off to you.
Well, Naruto fan, you've truly outdone yourself. Touche, buddy. Touche.
I don't know where he got that sort of access, but we've got the access, and if you folks at home want to know more about the Bureau XCOM Declassified, be sure to head back over to the website on Wednesday the 17th, because I got to spend some extended hands-on time with the game, and we're going to have some content going up about that session. But Sean,
Yes.
people want to get in touch with us. How can they do it?
Well, Maxwell, I'm glad you asked. Follow GameSpot on Twitter and Facebook. We're always putting out a call for questions for upcoming shows. See you next week.